fact is, it's like this. I'll run around with my sign all day and ask them. $85 million has been gone missing from New York City youth shelters. Not just that, adding up to the world. You have over 1 million school children homeless and hungry throughout the U.S. every year. The fact that people don't understand, the government is in power of who lives and dies. How fluoride gets in our water, how guns get into our system, how drugs get into the system hands of kids. You know, it's funny how gang members come up to us and they save us because the cops aren't there to save us. The cops only care about homeless people when it comes to the fact that you're sleeping on the sidewalk. We wouldn't be sleeping on the sidewalk if we had a place to stay. In October and November, the dollar is going to drop and disappear. You know, martial law has already started. There are drone plane sightings in New York City. We have pictures that we placed on Facebook of 3 officers, each armed with military M16 guns in subway trains, in every cart on one C line a couple of days ago. They walk around there with M16s. I even talked to the cops. Those cops that stand right there have told me I would protest, but I would get fired. I got into a conversation about the Illuminati with them. Because if people don't know about the Rothschild family owns every single bank. They own the money. The president doesn't own anything. It's like the president is a little puppet to the Illuminati. And when the world's overpopulated and money control is bad, here is this Montezuma, for example. The Montezuma Food Company that I'm honestly going to say is just like the Umbrella Corporation. Alright? That's messed up. You're feeding us food that is grown by biochemical warfare chemicals, alright? They do it on purpose. They do it all on purpose. And it's, you know what? It's the time that we're all fed up. And it's funny how it takes a group of young kids and homeless adults that don't have anything to say, hey, dude, the world is fucked up. The world is completely fucked up. If America is going to let us fall into a World War IV, because there is a law. What is that? Defense Act? The Defense Action. It's been written in code. That declares that the president is allowed to declare civil war on civilians in the city, even if we're not armed. I mean, when I fought Occupy Oakland, we got flash bombs. Our dogs got shot. There are kids facing 85 years of terrorism threat years because they were in a protest. You know, but if we don't protest, who else is going to fix the world? Right now, they're putting a pipeline. They're trying to put a pipeline in West Side Highway for gas. We don't need that pipeline there. People need to understand when you frack something, like when you frack for oil, that makes the whole sea flammable. Like when you frack for oil, when you frack for gas, you're going underwater to the mineral lines. When the minerals basically dense themselves, that's where erosion comes from. That's when the water will start exploding. All these fracking companies, why are we going to war with Syria? Why do we have to go to war with Syria? That's basically the government's trying to play games again. We don't want to go to war with Syria. We don't want to go to war with Syria over the bank system. Just like how the Iraq war started. Afghanistan may be a little different. But honestly, in my opinion, when I talk to a military official and say, what's the difference between Iraq and Afghanistan? It was all set up. They said, no, it's different because they fought back. Why would people from another country fight back when Bush himself finished and started a war over oil and money? You know, if you come into my country and try to force our resources because our world is dying, I will fight back with guns. That's why people in Oakland are fighting for the Second Amendment law. Cops say, oh, gun control is out of control, but who's providing it? James Holmes, for existence? James Holmes, there is no way an MPH-40 machine assault rifle has been outlawed for the past 10 years, ever since rifle laws were established. Those are supposed to be locked up in an armory. Those are military weaponry. How do you order that off of eBay? How do you order 40,000 rounds of ammunition off the internet without somebody tracking it? And then it seems like they're the causes for all these crazy killings so they can make a quota, so they can make themselves look good. Honestly, me and my friends are fed up with it. We sleep on the streets every day. I've been sleeping in that park. I've got raped in that park. And when we cry for help, no one answers for it. No one answers. They're like, oh, go get a job. What job? We've tried to go get a job. When we walk into the store and we have that stuff on YouTube, we walk into the store, ask for a job application. No, sorry, there's no job application. When somebody with a business suit that looks like they took a shower, stand the third, they walk out with a job application. Is it wrong for us to riot that store? It's discrimination. I mean, you see kids sleeping around the circle. Like you can go to Union Square, you'll see 200 kids that are homeless in there during the day. Then the majority of them stay there at night. And then you can go to Columbus Circle. We got chased out of Columbus Circle. It was 150 of us that slept in Columbus Circle 2 years ago. We got chased out by the cops. Every safe place that we find, we try to call our own, is taken away from us. Union Square, they're taking out the benches. They sold that park to a private owner. How do you sell a park that has a Washington Monument in it? A Washington Monument is state property. You can't sell a Washington Monument. And now they want to take out all the benches and put cameras on the lampposts. And then there's a person, the park cops have told this to us because the park cops like us homeless kids because we actually, because we're real about everything. And then this guy in an apartment, right, you can see the apartment when you look at the fountain sitting in Union. There's a balcony with green plants on it. I don't know the guy's name, but the park cop said that Mayor Bloomberg and the dude that owns the park, because he bought the park for $2 million, have written and signed a contract where that guy in the apartment paid the park cop and Mayor Bloomberg $6 million to sign a contract to the park owner to kick the black and Hispanics out the park and make it a white park. You can't make a public park a white park. You can't do racial discrimination laws. I mean, like, where else are we supposed? They say get off the sidewalk. We're gonna occupy the sidewalk because we have nowhere to go. Green Chimneys just shut down. I was supposed to go to Green Chimneys last year. That didn't happen because Green Chimneys is now being turned into a shopping mall, a place that housed over 900 straight and LGBTQ kids that gave permanent housing, medical attention, everything. $85 million gets misplaced in the system and stolen by funds, and our shelters closed down, our counseling programs closed down. I've seen friends commit suicide on the streets because they're too depressed to stay out here. I've seen friends overdose on the streets, too depressed to stay out here. You know what? I'm tired of it. There's a family in Union Square that are two 18-year-old kids right now with a 2-year-old daughter that sleep on the streets. Why? Because they don't want to give their kid to the system because the system is just going to destroy their kid's life. Like, people need to understand, we're in a state of martial law where everything that people have never paid attention to except for the right people. And now it's time for us to speak out on it. Like, Occupy Wall Street is Occupy around the world. China's occupying right now against sex slavery. The fact that missing kids, the government steals children and sells them to sex trade, and that has been proven. I mean, you have Ireland occupying against Europe because they sold their money system to Europe. Ireland's an independent country. Why are you going to sell them bank system? Then you have places like Russia who's backing us up because of their communist facts of the barter trade system needs to be in place. The Illuminati is after one thing, making one coin for everything, $1 for everything. You know what? The bank systems are about to foreclose themselves. There's no money. There are people losing their jobs like crazy. Like, what are people going to do when the dollar drops down? I mean, you can vote for Romney, you can vote for Obama. I'm not voting. None of us are voting. Why? We don't need a president. What we need is to occupy. Occupying means that you can go to our GA and tell them, hey, we're not going to vote. We want to be our own government. Why? Because when the people be their own government, they get things done. They fix things. Because we understand the problems. The government don't care. The government's a lie. Everything about the government is a lie. The war, the military, everything. And the cops are their puppets. The cops don't want to kick us awake on these streets saying, hey, we'll arrest you for being homeless. No, that's the mayor behind that. The mayor's the one that pays these cops. And it's getting ridiculous. Like, why do kids have to suffer on the streets? Why do kids under the age of 25 have to suffer on the streets? Why? Like, there's enough food from all these Dwayne Reeds and stuff that get thrown out and they hide it from us. Because we will go dumpster diving looking for it. They will hide it from us. When they hide it from us, do you know all this food that's being wasted can be used to feed everybody on the streets? I mean, think of it. When like, people, it's ridiculous. The economy is ridiculous. There will be no more economy. You know, people don't, they're like, oh, World War IV will never happen. World War IV is already in place. Martial law is already here. The cops over there that I spoke to right over there, they said that they're ready for martial law. Their police precinct's ready for martial law. You know, they've got the guns, they've got this, that, and the third. So what does that leave the civilian population to? They get wiped out by the government? They're wiped out by the government for what? Like, it needs to stop. Like, and it's ridiculous that every day there's another kid that gets raped, there's another kid that gets beat, abused. No one ever does anything about it. They say, go home. Maybe we can't go home. Maybe we can't go home. My father right now is sitting in a Navy prison. Why? Because when I was 10 years old, he got taken away from me and I got put on the streets because my mom was abusive. My dad did nothing but love me and serve his country. Serve a country of lies. And guess what? Now he's doing prison in life because in his Navy base, they tried to blame him and 10 other people and it went through because now they're in prison. Him and 10 other lieutenants for guns missing out of an armory. Those guns were sold to gang members. Those people got shot. They got basically, they're charged with murder. Murder and transaction of illegal firearms. My father didn't do that. I've been trying to fight hard to get my dad out of that prison. I mean, not just did the government lock my father up for that, but the way that I've grown up because of all this, the homelessness, the not being able to get resources, and then people look at us and be like, oh, I'm not a drug addict. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I mean, last year I got diagnosed with ALL leukemia. I'll tell you something about that. I still can't get my health care provision. Where did all this money go? Where did $85 million go? Apparently, I'm suing Medicaid right now because why are you supposed to deny me Medicaid when I'm homeless? I mean, I've almost died in Union Square Park for seizures. Everyone knows me down there. Like, it's getting ridiculously out of hand. Right now, the government sucks, and I'm on the point of suing the cops in Occupy Oakland for shooting my service animal. I have a service dog from Canine Companions that helps me with my disabilities. Guess what? They shot her. If you see a dog wearing a Canine Companion outfit who's sitting there scared as hell, you're still gonna shoot it? In Occupy Zakata Park, they threw 2 puppies in a fucking garbage truck. There's a girl that got hit in Union Square crossing a white light coming home from work. How come a garbage truck sped and killed her? When they killed her, everyone chased after the garbage truck. Mayor Bloomberg won't arrest him because he works for the state. Like, everything is corrupted. Nothing makes sense anymore. Everything's wrong. When we say Occupy Wall Street, they're like, oh, occupiers are crazy, blah, blah, blah. They're just a bunch of bum, drunk, homeless people who are fighting. I was like, no. Maybe if you sit down and talk to some occupiers about why we're really doing this and stop judging us, we're doing it to save the next generation, save the next generation of kids, save the next generation of working people, save the next generation of the whole world, and to save the generation that's already in the struggle. Some of these kids on the streets don't even, live to be 32. And it's sad. It's sad. How come it takes us to see it and not the world?